Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, raising money for charity without writing a check. Part 3 in our series on tax-efficient retirement planning for business owners with nationally recognized author, speaker, and retirement authority, Peter Hibbard. Welcome to segment 3, Peter.
Thank you so much, Steve.
I'm sorry, your title is seriously intriguing, I have to say. But before I get into that question, again, I want to talk about these books that are on his website right now, which you can go ahead and get. The first one's the Red Zone of Retirement, and I think you're going to really appreciate it. They're pretty easy read. I thought it was pretty easy. Yeah. And it's really important to find out the time. Peter describes 15 years, 5 years before you retire and 10 years after are the danger signs. That's the red zone. You got to be very careful, and I kind of agree. There's some time, either side of that date could be a problem. So you definitely want to read this book. If you're a consumer and saying, how hard is it? No, it's a pretty straight up read. Now, the second thing is that he's got a book called The Road to Success, and he's with Jack Canfield. One of his chapters that Jack writes on features Peter talking about some of the things we're going to be talking about today, as well as with the famous sales guru, Brian Tracy, another book called The Success Blueprint that also features Peter in that. And Peter, of course, you were never really an author, right?
No.
But you enjoyed writing this and really being part of their practice as well.
Yeah, I've enjoyed writing that, and I've written a bunch of white papers as a result of what my experience there in writing for those books.
Well, I have to say, at the end of every year, we do a show. Maybe we'll have you back on charitable giving, you know.
Yeah.
But when we do a charitable giving show, everybody's writing checks at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm not used to talking about charitable giving, and you said the name of the segment is not writing a check.
All right.
So let's explain ourselves and walk me through how do you do that?
The heart of the donor. Wealthy individuals, I'll read this, are often desired to provide nonprofits, charities, and universities their choice with annual donations. Many want to leave a sizable contribution as a legacy. The thing that wealthy individuals have to face is this may take away money from their other endeavors, family goals. So we have developed a way that our clients can give money to charities, both an annual gift and a legacy gift in one program without ever having to write a check. Now, I know that stretches my credibility whenever I say something like that, but it's absolutely true.
Well, you have huge credibility. You've been in this business almost 50 years. You're kind of a patriarch in the planning area.
Yeah, right.
So I accept on the face value that you can do this. But I wanted to ask you, you said something about the beneficiaries before we get into this. How many beneficiaries kind of complain when mom and dad want to give something to the charities and they feel like they're being X'd out?
Yeah, that's correct. That can happen very often when their mom and dad are giving away money and the kids didn't either know about it or didn't have a say in it. So that is correct. But there's another point, and that is charities. The lifeblood of charities is the annual gift, because that's what they use to cover their initial goals, the funding of things that they need to take care of. But the sustainability of a charity is based on their endowment, having a large endowment that can take them through thin and lean times when their annual gifting drops down. So what we were able to, our impetus here was to create a program where we could solve both of those two things charities want: the annual gifts and the legacy gifts to build sustainability within that charity. All right.
So I'm looking at, what I'm trying to do is look at a legitimately qualified IRS nonprofit.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then you call this the Charitable Legacy Program. Now, is that your acronym?
Yes, that's my acronym, right. Yes.
Okay. Well, talk to me about this, because I've often, at the end of every year, Steve's writing checks.
Yeah.
You're saying I'm not writing a check.
No.
Well, you need to explain yourself, Peter.
Well, I'll be glad to do that. Now, we use a life insurance product, but we use some very specially designed life insurance products that normally are not used, and very few companies have them. Here's what I want to focus on. We do an annual premium of $10 million, a one-time premium. Now, this gets into the premium finance, which we'll do in another segment, but we use bank money, other people's money, to finance this policy. But this column 6 here in blue is the annual gift to a charity. Now, the client is never writing a check. It's all done through the financing of this product. Now, the only thing I need from the client is 5 or 6 years of collateral. And thereafter, these blue numbers means I've got excess money in the policy in excess of the bank loans.
So they're going to have some liquid collateral assets on the side for at least 5 or 6 years.
Let's say 5 years on average. Sometimes 4, sometimes 6, but let's say 5 years. And it's a declining amount. And thereafter, we have positive cash forever. And oh, by the way, Steve, if this individual were to die at age 60, there's $14 million. The bank loan is satisfied with the death benefit, and there's $14 million left over to split with charity and family, and they have never written a check. Now, we're insuring them initially, you can see at the top here, for $23 million.
So can I regurgitate a bit?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to an institution and I have a worthy client,
right.
a very credit-worthy client, and this is an area where we're actually leveraging the client's credit.
Right.
Right. They have all this credit, they're not using it.
Right.
And I love other people's money. I saw the movie. I like to do it in real life.
Right.
So I have a $10 million. I'm borrowing. I'm going to be able to, if I'm hearing correctly, satisfy that lump sum legacy in the future. But I also am going to be able to give an ongoing annual off the same contract.
Yeah.
Now, is this a single life case? Or is it a second to die case?
This one in particular is a single life case,
okay.
But we can do second to die. But I brought some additional pages to show you. A lot of people say, well, how long will this last? Well, if you go to the next page, there's through age 83, and the final page. Look how much excess cash we have in here. We got $8-9 million of excess cash. So technically, if the client cancels the program, they could walk away with that cash. But look at how much we've given away to charity. By age 97, if they live that long, we've given $2.5 million of annual gifts to charities, and we still have over $17 million of legacy gift for either the charity or for family. And some of our clients do it differently. They give the annual gift to charity, and some will just want to give this additional legacy to family. Some will also split that with a charity. But that solves the two things charities are looking for: annual gifts and legacy gifts to build those endowments.
And of course, back to my original point in the segment, hey, and it's going to take care of the beneficiaries because they want to be part of the inheritance as well.
Right. So we don't take any of the other clients' assets, because that's that's the biggest hurdle charities have, is going to clients and ask for the two things the clients don't want to give up to charities: their cash and their investments. So here we've solved that problem for the charity and the client all in one program without the client ever writing a check.
Okay. Now I just want to make sure I'm square on this. At the first page, if I remember, you were talking about for the first 5, maybe 6 years, I may have to post assets as just collateral for that first 5, 6 years. After it's satisfied, you're telling me that the actual contract has enough cash in it that the asset collateralization is no longer needed.
That is correct.
Okay.
But the clients always ask about what is my risk to this collateral. The risk, Mr. Client, is all in your hands, because unless you were foolish enough to walk away from this program, that collateral will never be called. But it satisfies the bank regulators. Okay,
now when clients are doing this, there has to be some minimum worthiness. Like, is it net worth $5 million? What do you think is the bottom threshold for entry to even talk to these people?
Probably income of $500,000 and a net worth of $5 million or more.
Okay, and so they're going to be looking for liquid assets to post to this.
Yeah.
But after you're done with the 5 or 6 years, that falls off. Then it's not necessary any longer.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is self-sustaining.
Oh yeah, self-sustaining. Yeah, we manage this every year with the clients. We review the whole thing, and you know, if the policy is doing well, maybe we can give more. Frankly, if the earnings in the policy are a little bit less, maybe we can't give quite as much. So we adjust it each and every year.
So you're doing an annual review on the contract.
You have to do an annual review on this.
Okay. Now, you were talking about the basic premise of premium financing. So there's some arbitrage going on.
Yeah.
Why should I mean, the rates are so low. I mean, this has to be ideal.
Yeah. Well, it is. And based on my first segment, I don't think interest rates are going to rise much. Everybody's worried about they're going to rise. But everybody talks about interest rates rising being the cost of money. They never talk about if interest rates rise, then the opportunity of money is going to get larger too. So they kind of balance each other. But the reason people premium finance, these are the top 4 reasons that I talk about, is many high net worth, higher income individuals are comfortable. They already leverage their assets in business. They're comfortable with that. There's tax savings, and paying interest instead of premiums will save you a whole lot of tax costs, particularly when you're financing life insurance in a trust. And retain capital. Rather than using your money, we're going to use other people's money. And as a result of that, we increase the internal rate of return on the value of money significantly. And you'll see that in another slide to come.
So if you have a qualified affluent client, he is not going to write a check.
No.
He's not surrendering any of his assets, only that first 5 years for collateral purposes only.
Right.
Well, listen, you can watch our next segment on retiring early with other people's money. I love that. Part 4 in our series on tax-efficient retirement planning for business owners. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money.